Hello.
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 Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Gosh, one lesson and then it's Christmas. Do you realize that? We're galloping through lessons, you know. If I manage, I'll have a special lesson for Christmas. I found a nice video about overeating. You know, when Christmas, everybody eats a lot and even too much. And I found this video. The woman is called something, a Scottish accent, which is good for you. So you know, get used to a bit of a variety. And I'll see what I can do. I'll start preparing something tomorrow. So this evening, we could. Well, the lesson about the great vowel shift is quite interesting. Because with my husband, he managed to record a little bit of a part of recording with sort of normal accent, and part of the recording he managed to find something with the what is supposed to be or to have been. It's again, it's good for you to know the way the language has changed, the reason why the spelling is so strange, and well, what happened to this language, because it's really interesting. Italian evolved in a completely different way. If you read something, I tried to go and have a look. But if you read something, I don't know, 12, 1300, you can more or less, you can understand it. While English, well, you know, it's different. If you have studied the language and you know what happened to it, you can more or less get your head around it. Otherwise, it's impossible. And the way it was pronounced was completely different, something. And then hence the great vowel shift. So that's what we could start off with this evening. Then I've got something about the pronunciation of O. Well, there are some rules, but just to tell you that there are some rules, and then there are thousands of exceptions, but at least you know that there is something there. Okay, so I'm going to open and then share. So this is the recording. Okay. And one. And this one is the other thing. Perfect. 1, 2, and okay. So no, this is the thing I wanted. Okay, just tell me whether you can more or less see it. Oh, good. Yeah, right. We're all in. Okay, first thing first this evening, first we complete the vocabulary exercise, and then we can do the listening and fill in the gaps. And I got some more questions here, kind of listening comprehension, and a couple of grammar quizzes. Okay, first of all, something like some words which you will hear during the recording, and just to see whether you know. So, dramatic, okay. The meaning, is it sudden and significant, quiet and unnoticed? you're saying yeah. Definitely, yeah, something dramatic is something which happens, and well, you know, definitely you notice. Loan words. The reference, is it to words no longer in use, words for word translation, newly coined words or expressions? Okay, everybody more or less is saying D. Yes. Well, if you go to a bank and you get a loan, basically maybe you want to buy a new kitchen, for example, and you haven't got the money, and so you need. Sorry, I got my dog. It's just come under the table to keep me company. Um, so if you go to a bank and you want to buy a new kitchen and you get a loan. A loan is when you haven't got enough money, and so the bank lends you some money, and so you borrow money, and the same happens with words. But look at the Italian, the words in Italian which are borrowed from English. I mean, I went to a shop today and this woman said to me, mi scusi, sono in una call. Well, and then someone else, it's all English. Yeah, sometimes it's a bit too many words, because, you know, sono al telefono, but even my students, younger students, and I notice, I think it's a question of sometimes being lazy. You don't, I mean, there are words in Italian. I'm not a purist anyway, but sometimes printare, I could kill for the printare. I haven't seen the printare yet. I've seen spoilerare, which I don't like. But again, if you think about scioccare, it's been in, you know, chattare, all these words, they came into the language a long time ago, so now we're used to them. But the spoilerare and the chattare and the baggiare, I find it very difficult to pronounce. Yeah, I think it's a question of laziness. For example, if you look at Spanish people and French people, what's abbeggiare? God. Beggiare? Beggiare or baggiare? Ah, con il badge. God. Good to know. It's yeah, it's interesting again, but in a way it's a shame because the language is losing words which were kind of common in Italian. Now they're not used and they're being substituted by words in English. The same happens in English. If you think about English, we will see that English has been around, as we all know, and borrowed words from all over the world. You know, even words like chop chop. Chop chop means hurry up and comes from Chinese. A cup of cha, yeah, if you want a nice cup of cha, is a nice cup of tea, and of course comes from Chinese. And if you go berserk, I think comes from Norwegian. So even and pasta, salami, lasagna, some people pronounce them lasagne, but they've been exported, okay? And Spanish and French as languages, they're protecting their language a lot more. And then, well, let's go down to the social mobility. The expression social mobility, the meaning, is it a movement of people between social classes, traveling across different towns, movement of people to a new area to find better living conditions, or restriction to freedom of movement? Yeah, definitely. Yes, people, move from one class, social class, to the other. They get more money, they move up, they lose money, they move down, and sometimes remember that very often your accent also reflects your social status. Even if in English people say, oh no, it's not any longer, well, it's not. You open your mouth in English and people know exactly where you went to school, how much money you got in the bank, where you live, what mommy does, what daddy does, and etc. Because, again, generalizing a lot, but your accent reveals a lot. And now, so now you know the word. Then now we can listen to the recording, and then we can answer the questions true and false. And the recording, first just listen, okay? You'll hear towards the end the opening lines from the very beginning of the Canterbury Tales. This was written between 1387 1400, and you'll hear the modern English version and the original, what they think it was, Middle English version. It's the passage describes how the arrival of spring inspired people to go on a pilgrimage. You know, the whole thing is about this pilgrimage by these people to the shrine of St. Thomas Becket. Okay, so first listen, and then we can find the words and etc. Okay, just listen to it.
5. The Great Vowel Shift, when English changed its voice.
Is it loud enough? Good. Okay.
If Chaucer, 14th century, and Shakespeare, 16th century, had met, they might have struggled to understand each other, not because of vocabulary, but because of a dramatic change that mainly affected English pronunciation in the south of the country in those centuries. This change is known as the Great Vowel Shift, and it transformed the way the English long vowels, A, E, I, O, U, were spoken. These long vowels literally moved up in the mouth. The position of the tongue moved or shifted. Let's take the first vowel, A, as in name. In Chaucer's time, before the shift, the word was pronounced nama. The next vowel, E, as in look at me, was pronounced me. The word time would have sounded more like team. Go would have been pronounced gar. The farmyard animal, the goose, would have been known as a gose. The word house was pronounced hoose. A cow was a coo, and the number 5 was fief. If you were unlucky enough to have 5 cows in the house, you would have said, I have 5 coos in the hoose. Linguists still debate the exact causes. Some suggest it was the influx of French and Latin loanwords, which altered pronunciation habits. Others think it was social mobility after the Black Death. With different dialects mixing in towns, pronunciation patterns may have shifted in unpredictable ways. By the time Shakespeare was writing his plays and the King James Bible was published, early 1600s, the shift was nearly complete. These are 2 short extracts from the opening 18 lines of Chaucer's prologue, read first in modern English and then in Middle English.
Okay, before we hear this, we can fill in the gaps. Okay. For example, if you listen, well, we will listen to Scottish accent and sometimes even Irish accent, you can still, there are some words which reflect the old way English was pronounced, okay, like whose, okay. This great vowel shift affected the way the language is spoken and etc. But of course, there are regional accents which stay the way they were. Okay, so.
Chaucer, 14th century, and
okay, so it's 14th century. And we got the other guy.
14th century and Shakespeare, 16th century, had met.
Very good. 16th century. So you see, there is a bit of a gap in between the two.
They might have struggled to understand each other.
Yeah. Struggle means when you find something difficult.
To understand each other, not because of vocabulary, but because of a dramatic change that mainly affected English pronunciation in the south of the country in those centuries.
Yeah. Very good. So it is because of change. Yeah. And you see, in the south of the country, that's the reason why I told you about Scotland.
In those centuries. This change is known as the Great Vowel Shift, and it transformed the way the English long vowels, A.
Yes, the way. So the English long vowels and which are these ones.
English long vowels, A, E, I, O, U, were spoken. These long vowels literally moved up in the mouth. The position.
Yes, very good. So literally moved sort of up in the mouth.
These long vowels literally moved up in the mouth. The position of the tongue moved or shifted. Let's take the first vowel, A, as in name. In Chaucer's time, before the shift,
Wait, I just go back. Listen.
Moved or shifted. Let's take the first vowel, A, as in name. In Chaucer's time, before the shift.
Yes, so it's before. What's a shift? All the meaning of shift. Yes, change or movement. Oh, wait, I'll go down here. I'll find some space here. So, yeah, change of movement. When you move from one place, position. Okay. You can have a shift in attitude, for example. Yes, very good. Could be someone said turno, a work period. Night shift, for example, if you work at night, an 8-hour shift, if you work, a particular moment. Yes, exactly. Could also be a keyboard key. The shift is used, the one for capital letters. That is called shift. So you see that it has a lot. For example, if you have shifty eyes, or if you look a bit shifty. Oh no, it's not nothing to do with the strabismo. Means that, for example, children, when they do something wrong and they don't want to look at you, they got shifty eyes. They don't want to look at you. Sfuggenti, very good. If you look a bit shifty, you don't want to be noticed. You want to keep a very, very low profile, probably because you've done something wrong, especially with children, dogs, talking about dogs, when they look a bit shifty, it's because they just done something wrong. Okay, and so this happened to vowels. Again, remember long vowels. I'll write it here. Long vowels. This is good. Say their name. Okay. For example, you can have A as in cake, because you see, this is A in the alphabet, and it says its name. This is a long vowel, cake. E as in tree. Tree, E. I as in bike. Oopsie. You see, again, bike and I. And O as in nose. You see, you have, this is the alphabet, A, E, I, O, and so long vowels say their names, and U as in Q. While the short vowels Okay, I think for the Italians, the long vowels are a lot easier to pronounce than the short vowels, because the short vowels, basically, they stay down in your throat. A as in cat, you see. The a is, for example, in Italian, you do use it when you have the verb to have. Io, tu, hai, a, a. Okay, that's the sound. And he as in pen. You see, it's nice and short. I as in sit, and O as in dog, and U as in cup. You see, these ones are long, while these ones are short. And again, when they're short, they stay in your throat. The moment you actually get them and they are in your mouth, they become long. Okay. Listen to the difference between big and C. Okay. One is long, one is long, and the other one is short. So remember, short vowels are quick and soft. Long vowels sounds like the vowel's name and in the alphabet. Okay. So we can go back to our shift. This is short, you see, shift. And I'll go
The tongue moved or shifted. Let's take the first vowel, A as in name. In Chaucer's time, before the shift, the word was pronounced nama. The next vowel, E as in look at me, was pronounced me. The word time would have sounded more like tea.
Very good. Yes. Sounded more like
It's pronounced me. The word time would have sounded more like team. Go would have been pronounced gar. The farmyard animal, the goose, would have been known as a goose. The word house was pronounced hoose. A cow was a coo, and the number 5 was fief. If you were unlucky enough to have 5 cows in the house, you would have said, I have fief coo.
exactly. Very good. You would have said. Well, if you go up to Scotland, this is get more, a lot more.
Cow was a coo, and the number 5 was fief. If you were unlucky enough to have 5 cows in the house, you would have said, I have fief coos in the hoose. Linguists still debate the exact causes.
Very good. Still. Yeah. They don't really know why it happened. It just happened. Okay.
Fief coos in the hoose. Linguists still debate the exact causes. Some suggest it was the influx of French and Latin loanwords which altered pronunciation habits. Others think it was social mobility after the Black Death. With different dialects mixing in towns, pronunciation patterns may have shifted in unpredictable ways.
Very mixing, yes, with different dialects doing what? Mixing in towns, mixing in towns. Yeah, the Black Death, you know, the bubonic plague, it took, I think it occurred all over Europe around 1340 something, yeah, La Peste Bubonica, I think. And it was, I think, one of the most fatal pandemics in human history. I have some notes saying that as many as 50 million people perished. 50% of Europe's 14th century population died because of this. Okay, and apparently it was spread by fleas. Flea, you know what a flea is? You have Lepucci, very good flea market. And so it was terrible, really terrible. And so, of course, people started, some people say because of this, people then started moving, and yes, and mice. Mixing, moved from one town to the other, from the countryside into towns, and vice versa. Well, they did, but not as much as the South, Federica. Mainly affected the South. If you go up, even in Ireland, the shift, of course, it happened, but not as much. If you pay attention to the accent, you see that's the difference. It hasn't shifted as much. And it's very interesting. If I can manage to get the lesson for Christmas about the overeating, the woman has got a nice Scottish accent. Again, then remember that it always depends on the person who's talking, because sometimes even if you have a Scottish accent, and it can be not so marked, and so it's nice and easy and you can understand it. If whenever the accent it's really strong, then it's difficult. But then it's difficult in any language, even in Italian. If you talk, if you are from Milan and you try to talk to someone from Naples, and this person has a very, very strong accent, well, sometimes they're incomprehensible. You need subtitles. Troisi was incomprehensible, or very, very difficult to understand. Okay.
Different dialects mixing in towns, pronunciation patterns may have shifted in unpredictable ways. By the time Shakespeare was writing his plays and the King James Bible was published, early 1600s, the shift was nearly complete.
Yes, it was.
Early 1600s, the shift was nearly complete. These are two short extracts from the opening 18 lines of Chaucer's prologue, read first in modern English and then in Middle English.
Very good. Yeah. Lines, okay. And here I put some notes somewhere. So showers mean rains. Drought, which rhymes with trout, it comes from the word dry. So means in Italian you would say siccità. So March is dry as opposed to April brings rains. And remember that plants are compared to people and water to their blood that runs through their veins. Okay, this is the translation, of course. You see, it is different. Okay, yeah, April, you can recognize it. But it has changed terribly. So I'm going to play it for you.
At first in modern English and then in Middle English. When April, with its sweet-smelling showers, has pierced the drought of March to the root,
Wonder April, with his sure sote, the drucht of March hath pierced to the rote,
and bathed every vein in such liquid by which power the flower is created,
and bathed every vine in switch liquor, of which virtue engendered is the floor.
then folk long to go on pilgrimages,
Dan longen folk to go on pilgrimages,
and professional pilgrims to seek foreign shores,
and palmeres for to seken strange strondes,
to distant shrines known in various lands,
de verne halves koert in sundry landes,
and specially from every shire's end of England to Canterbury they travel,
and specially from every sheerest end of England to Canterbury they wende,
to seek the holy blessed martyr
holy blissful Maarten for to seke,
who helped them when they were sick.
that hem had holpen when the die were seke.
Okay, it is different. It's very interesting to see the way it has changed. When double Dutch, you say in English, when something is very difficult to understand, is double Dutch, because again, Dutch is a very difficult language to understand. And you see that, but if you just pay attention to this sort of sound and the tune, it reminds you of someone speaking with an accent from Scotland, from the north, or from Ireland. If you pay attention to it and you listen to it properly, it doesn't matter whether you can't understand the word. It doesn't really matter. But the sound, the tuning, the sort of the music of the language, it does remind you of the north of England. Okay, and so this is quite interesting. So now you can answer my questions. Let's go back down here, up here actually. Okay, now you got very good memory. I hope you can remember. And first one, Chaucer and Shakespeare would have easily understood each other. Definitely not. They needed subtitles like everybody. And the Great Vowel Shift occurred primarily in southern England. Yeah. And the Great Vowel Shift marked a dramatic transformation in the way words were written. The writing comes next lesson. We do the writing because, of course, remember that to add complication to complication, the vowel shift and etc. Then, of course, people used to write thing in one way, which was more or less kept, but they started pronouncing them in a different way, and so it became a mess. That's the reason why English is so difficult when it comes to spelling and the writing. And number 4, the great vowel shift is a sound change that affected the pronunciation of short vowels. Yeah, it's false because it's only the long ones. Linguists all agree that the great vowel shift was caused by French influence. Definitely. Well, again, they may be the Black Death and etc., but at the moment, no one is really sure why it happened. It happened. That's the thing. Number 6, by the early 1600s, the great vowel shift was almost complete. Very good. Yes. And the last one. Shifty is an adjective and has a completely different meaning from shift, verb and noun. Yeah. Oops, this one. Yeah. So shift, verb and noun change a position, direction, a work period. The shift key we saw before, while shifty, the adjective, we saw it before. It's a look in your eyes, you've done something wrong, something dishonest, and you don't look at people directly in the eyes, okay? And so it is shifty adjective has a different meaning from shift, verb and noun, okay? Yes, if you're a bit shifty, you've done something wrong. There is something dishonest, okay? And then we have, what was the main linguistic change during the great vowel shift? Simplification of grammar, transformation of long vowel pronunciation, systematic change in spelling of some Latin words, or the acquisition of new sounds from other languages. Yes, very good. It's this one. Which event is mentioned as possibly influencing the great vowel shift? Shakespeare's play began to be performed, the Norman Conquest, the Black Death, and King James Version of the Bible. Yes, it's the Black Death. And according to the text, what did social mobility after the Black Death possibly led to? Okay, BB, the disappearance of long vowels, increased mixing of dialects. Yeah, I would say this one, the decline, not French influence, not the end of Middle English. So, yeah, because people moved around and mixing dialects, and this is what happened. By Shakespeare's time, which of the following was true? The vowel shift had not yet begun. The shift was in its early stages. The shift was nearly complete, or the shift had completed reversed. Yeah, see. And very good. And now a quick grammar quiz. This is an example of quizzes, a grammar quiz you find in if you want to take a B2 or a C1 or a C2 diploma, for example, proficiency, advanced, or even a first certificate. There is always something like this. What you have to do, you have to complete the second sentence so that it has a similar meaning to the first sentence. Okay, so pay attention to the tenses and etc. You have to use the word given, which is result, and you cannot change it. So the first sentence says, okay, very good. Some linguists think that French and Latin loan words caused the great vowel shift. Okay, and some, I told you, okay, so some linguists believe that the great vowel shift is or was? Was. Very good. Okay, remember that unfortunately, if you take the first certificate of the advanced or the proficiency, these sentences are corrected by a computer. And the computer doesn't know, say, oh yes, what's the difference between is and was? There isn't that much difference. But the computer would mark is as wrong. So was the result of. Very good. And perfect. And the second one, by Shakespeare's time, the great vowel shift was almost complete. When Shakespeare was writing the great vowel shift, you have to use the word place. Okay, almost. Yes, almost taken place. Very good. Yes. So was almost complete, almost, or had already, if you want, also taken place. So had taken place already, almost. Perfect, very good. Well done. So this is done, and I've told you everything there is to say. Let me just see. Oh yes. Okay, you heard this word. My old students all know that the correct pronunciation of this word is southern. Okay, it's a bit like southern. Okay, not south. And the rest with the, oh yes, we heard the word, the pilgrimage was to the shrine, St. Thomas Becket's shrine. Do you know what a shrine is? Yes. A holy place, a place regarded as holy because of its association with a person, very often a relic, and usually is marked by a construction. Can be big constructions or small ones. Very, very often, if you go on walks in the Lange, yeah, you find these little shrines to the Madonna in Italy. Sono dei santuari? No, sono delle. There is a name. Yeah, small one. Yeah, I think santuari. So, because they are piccole cappelle, okay? Because otherwise it's this chapel. Shrine is those kind of tiny little things. There is a roof and you can just see the Madonna inside, that's it, or a saint or something. Edicole votivi. Yeah, very good. Cappelle votive. Very good. Yeah. And so I hope everything is clear here. While we are here, very quickly, I'll tell you about the O without kind of boring you to death. Because last lesson, you remember that the pronunciation of OO came up. Remember that OO can have two pronunciations, even three. The short pronunciation. Remember, short, it's a short vowel, and so it's down in your throat. Okay? Book, brook, cook, crook, hook, look. You say look at me. You don't say look. Okay. Again, remember that if you go up north, there are people you hear the word book pronounced book, but that's a regional accent, okay? In standard British English, which is what you are studying, is book, cook, hook, look, shook, took, okay? So this is short pronunciation. So remember, when you find O-O-K is almost always pronounced ook, short. So remember, if you remember book, you remember all the others. Again, when you find O-O-D, is mostly pronounced as ud, very short, good, hood, brotherhood, you see, childhood, motherhood, neighborhood, stood, understood, would. You see, it's nice and short. So again, if you remember would, you know that usually, almost always, okay. Again, short U. The other words pronounced with a short U are foot. Remember foot, soot, wool, nook, woof. These words vary. They can be pronounced in a variety, moor, or I think the Americans say moor, and the same with poor. Exceptions: mood, brood, food, and spook. Okay, these are the exceptions. The others usually follow the rule. It's too small. Oh, wait. Okay. Is it better? Better like this? Good. So the long pronunciation, when it's not okay, short usually, ook, ud, and remember these four words. Oh, yes, I will, Nicoletta, don't worry, I'll send you everything. And everything I say during my lesson, I always then send it to you. The long pronunciation instead, there it is, boom, boost, boot, choose, cool, coot, crooner, doom and gloom, goose, and shoot and soon. That's the reason why, because they do not belong to the Ud company. Okay. Exception to the rules mentioned above: mood, brood, food, and spook. Remember. Very long oo again. All words ending with oo are pronounced with a long oo. But this is very easy: bamboo, cuckoo, igloo, kangaroo, shampoo, loo. What's the loo? Do you know what the loo is? If you got to go to the loo, yes. Remember that loo as a word is a nicer word than toilet. It's like it's people with a kind of nice accent, and usually they call it loo. They don't call it toilet. Okay. But you can carry on calling it toilet. Yes, it's the loo. You can have loo paper, you can have toilet paper instead. For example, bog. Bog is a bit more vulgar than toilet. Restroom is fine. Bog è il cesso. Okay. Loo is nice and elegant. Oo or oo. There are a few words in which both pronunciation are possible. Depends on, remember, very often depends on your regional accent. Important, I think, to remember, there are two words and only two words in which oo is pronounced as in but: blood and flood. Okay. Bog is vulgar. So blood is what you get in your veins, and flood is when you get too much water. Okay, inundate. Then you have these two o belong to completely different syllables, but is the same in Italian. This cooperate, but in Italian cooperare. So you have the same in Italian: cooperate, zoologist, coordinate, and microorganisms. So you make the distinction. Okay, I'm going to send you all the rules and etc. Okay, I can close this one. We can close this one as well. And now, would you like to carry on with the invention that broke spelling, or do you want to do a couple of items of news? As you like, you decide. News. Yeah, bit of a change. Yeah, okay. I don't know whether, well, we can do the news today and the spelling next time. I remembered to send you some exercises on, I just did it an hour and a half ago, about the infinitive and the inform. And I put the correction, the key at the very end. So if you, but then if you have problems, if there is something you can't understand, just either you write to me or you tell me next lesson, you tell me. Okay, let me open my friend here.
BBC News with Sue Montgomery.
Wait. And okay. Right. BBC News. This we start with my monitor's been on. Before you listen to the news, underline the correct options and then we answer the questions. Okay. 48 seconds before my thing turns off. Could you please let me know how I could get this? Inessa, I'll write my email address, and so you can write to me. Or yeah, 1 second. I can't do anything. Write to me here. Wait, I'll put it when I can't do anything because my timer wants to switch off and then I'll switch it back on. Just 1 second. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Ines, write to me. Juliana.dorothy@fastwebnet. Okay. And just write to me to this address and I'll send you all the past lessons, the links and everything. Okay, so let's see. President Trump has described Europe's or Europe countries. Very good. Like, as, equal. Aha. As. Equal to. Okay, so equal to something. So you can't just put equal. Because remember, nowadays, like and as are very often confused. I keep on reading and I keep on for example, I think I did explain this in the past. If I say, I work as a teacher, you see, as, when it's followed by a noun, means your role, what you do, it doesn't really mean equal or you act as. So that's what the meaning is here. Basically, they are decaying nations, okay? And so they've been described as, described as decaying nations. If I say, I work like a dog, you see the difference. there is similarity, equal to, okay? Exactly. It's more, yes, it's a, yeah, is a sort of a comparison, okay? A dog works a lot and I work like a dog. If you ever say, I work as a dog, the meaning is very odd because probably the speaker is a dog. And this dog says, I work as a guard dog. And exactly, you would probably bark when someone comes in, okay? Led from, led nothing, or led by? Yeah, in qualità di, very good. Weak people which fail to control immigration. Well done. Who fail to control immigration. So you describe someone as something, and led by is passive, and this is a subject, people who fail to control immigrations. Speaking to Politico, after the issue, publication, or printing. Very good. Of a new US national security strategy, Mr. Trump said the or a or nothing continent. Yes, you see, it has already been mentioned because it's talking about European countries. So the European countries have already been mentioned, and therefore we know what we're talking about. The continent was making, carrying, or doing a particularly bad job, work, or chore. Yes, very good, doing. A particularly bad job, work. Gotcha. Careful. Why not work? Why work is wrong? Silly answer. Work is uncountable. No, it's not necessary. It's not a verb. Remember that work is a noun and also a verb. But when you use it as a noun, it's uncountable. In English, if you say you have a, an, and one. In Italian, you just have one word which summarizes uno. Okay. In English, you have a, the indefinite article, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the number. Okay. In Italian, it's always the same thing. It's uno, una, but it's always one. Okay. So if you say an in English, it's like saying one. And so if I say one, I'm counting because I can carry on with two, and work is uncountable. And you cannot say a work. If you say that, you change the meaning to the word. Okay, because work countable changes its meaning. For example, a work of art, un'opera. Okay. You can talk road works, opere stradali, You see, the word changes its meaning. So must be job. Okay, so remember, do not count work, because otherwise you change. I'm sorry, I always pronounce the word chore. Chore is something, tasks you have to do. Yes, little jobs, housework, for example. There's you have two children. One is in charge of throwing the plastic away, and the other one is doing something else. And those are all, chores. Okay, so let's listen to the thing.
BBC News with Sue Montgomery. President Trump has described European countries as decaying nations led by weak people who failed to control immigration. Speaking to Politico after the publication of a new US national security strategy, Mr. Trump said the continent was doing a particularly bad job on Ukraine. Britain's...
Okay, right, let's answer the questions. True, false. Trump said European nations were strong and well governed. Definitely false. The US president criticized Europe's handling of immigration. And Mr. Trump was speaking after a new US security strategy was released. Yeah, very good. And let's have a look at some vocabulary. Decaying, the meaning, undergo decomposition, falling into disrepair, deteriorating, giving out or reflecting bright light, flourishing, thriving. So someone says A and B, and you are right. Something decaying, you get mold and you decompose, that's decay. Or something also falling into disrepair and deteriorating, both have something to do with decay. The other two are thriving, means, if you're thriving, you're flourishing, everything is going well, and it's a very, very good period. Fail. Fail means something which is just enough to meet the minimum requirement. Let someone down. Be unsuccessful. A mark in which is not high enough to pass an examination or test. Yeah, definitely C. Fail. But therefore is also a mark. If you get a fail, and if you fail me or my expectation, you let me down. I'm not happy with you. So they're all correct. B, C, and D. If you let someone down, you fail the expectations. Deludere. Politico. You heard it. Is it a news organization, a sport club, a political party? Very good. You've probably seen it somewhere. Okay, and this is the good bit. Pronunciation quiz. Which word contains a silent letter? Okay. Yes. New. Remember that K is completely silent. Handle is fine, week is fine, and continent is fine. Okay, which two words are homophones? We have one is the past of lead, and the other one is a metal. These two, or D? So, very good. A and B, A. Okay. So, the past of lead is lead, and the metal is lead. Okay. So, this one, lead. Unleaded, well, you know, when you go to a petrol station and you get unleaded petrol, means without lead. And weak and weak. I was very weak last week. Exactly the same. These two are different. This is trump and tramp. And release and realize. So these are different. And then we have this word, which I'm not going to say, is stress on the first one, on the second, on the third. Okay, is immigration. Immigration. So it's this one and it's the third. Okay, very good. Grammar. I'm revising some preposition with these things. Prepositions, some tenses is a good way. Europe was criticized. Do you criticize by, for, from, or of? Well, I was criticized by Mr. Trump because of something, but was criticized for failing to manage. Okay, so you are criticized by someone for doing something. And here, there is no the someone criticizing, and therefore Europe was criticized for failing to manage migration. And Trump commented on the situation after the strategy report was, has been, will be, would have been. This is easy. Yep. Yeah, was. The others are wrong. Now, listen to the news. And first you listen, and then we fill in the gaps.
Particularly bad job on Ukraine. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer rejected the suggestion that Europe talked about Ukraine but didn't produce anything. There's also been a strong reaction from the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz.
Okay, I'm going back.
Said the continent was doing a particularly bad job on Ukraine. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer rejected the suggestion.
Very good. Rejected the suggestion.
The suggestion that Europe talked about Ukraine but didn't.
That Europe, very good. Yeah, talked. Remember that what you hear is this, talked. This is the sound you hear. Listen to her.
That Europe talked about Ukraine.
You see, talked. Oh, you don't even hear this one. You hear something like talked, quite long, no L. Very good. So, talked about. About.
Ukraine, but didn't produce anything.
Very good. Anything?
Produce anything. There's also been a strong reaction from the...
Very good. Strong reaction from
Didn't produce anything. There's also been a strong reaction from the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz.
very good. Yes. Friedrich Merz, very good Chancellor. Now, listen comprehension. Keir Starmer dismissed the idea that Europe only speaks about Ukraine without acting. Why false? Dismiss the idea. Okay, if you dismiss the idea means that you reject it. And so it's true, because if I dismiss something, is refused the idea, the suggestion that Europe didn't do, basically doesn't do anything. Okay. The German Chancellor expressed no reaction to the discussion. Yeah, this one instead is false. Because there's also been both reacted. And number 3, the comments were related to Germany's approach to Ukraine. Not just Germany, so it's false. Okay, vocabulary. Suggestion is a feeling that something is true or likely to happen, an idea or a plan that you mention for somebody else to think about, something which brings strong images, memories, or feelings to mind. Okay, so definitely B. Okay, something which brings no strong image is something evocative. It's not suggestion. Suggestion is, something you say, what do you think about doing this and that and the other? This is suggestion. Okay. A person easily influenced by other people's opinion, that definitely maybe can be suggestible. But it's not a suggestion. Okay. And while this one is something evocative. To talk about the meaning. Talk nonsense. Shout in an angry way. Discuss or mention. Yes, definitely. If there is nothing to talk about, means there is nothing to say, nothing to discuss. Okay. If you do, we did it, I think, last time. If you shout in an angry way and you carry on talking and talking and talking without stopping, you rant. And with talking, if you make an insolent reply, what do? With children, you talk back. Don't talk back to me means do not answer, don't be insolent. Okay. A chancellor. Is it a military officer, a senior government leader, or an ambassador? It's this one. And we go. Time for the pronunciation quiz. Which word or words rhymes with? So, definitely B, because this one is prime time, and rhymes with crime. And this one is lie. This one is rhyme. So definitely. This one is seem. What about my friend F? It is sublime. Sublime is fantastic. So definitely. And what about this word? G. Prime, climb. B is completely silent. Climb, prime. No. If you don't pronounce B, you say climb, prime, rhyme, sublime, and crime. Yeah. So it's B, D, F, and G. This is quite interesting. Which pair shows, you remember that the general rule is noun stress on the first syllable, for example, a record, and verb stress on the second syllable, record. Okay. Can you find which one followed this rule? Noun versus verb adjective stress difference. So what about A? When is, yeah, because when is a noun, is a produce, while when is a verb, is produce. So definitely A. What about B? B stays the same, is you reserve and reserve. So it's exactly the same. What about this one? Remember that a reject is something and reject is the verb. So this one is there. So reject and reject. What about beauty and beautiful? Same. And what about this two? The stress in Europe is here, while European it's here. So this one is different. So we have produce and produce, reject and reject, and Europe and European. And true, false, suggestion has the stress on the second syllable. True? Very good. It is true. And the last one. Grammar quiz. The Prime Minister responded at, against, over, or to? To. And this is really the end. Europe has been trying to produce more support, but progress is, was. Yeah, been trying to produce more support, but progress was slow. Yeah. And that's it. It's being slow. It's being progress is being. I wouldn't use a continuous. Well, it's not. It's not. Was in the past, but Europe has been trying to produce a, but yeah, but also is could be okay. Because it has been trying to produce a, but progress up to now it has been slow or was slow or is slow. Yeah, they can be either. Okay, and that's it. I'll send you all the others with the key for your. Okay, and I'll stop this. Okay, I hope you enjoyed
Very much.
the lesson, and
Thank you.
I'll see you on.
Lesson.
I'll see you on Thursday. I'm trying to do my copy and paste and everything of all the stuff we've done, which is quite a lot.
Thank you, Juliana. Thank you, Juliana.
Thank you. Good
Bye.
night.
Thank you, Juliana.
Bye.
Next week.
I'll
Bye.
see you next
Bye.
week.
Bye.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you.
You too, Juliana. Bye.
Bye. Hi, Mario. How you doing? I can't hear you. You have to put your. I can't hear you.
I can't complain.
You look well. I'm pleased to see you. Really pleased to see you. We must
So do I.
meet around. Do you come to town every so often? Do you come to Turin?
On Friday at Unipop to follow physics.
Oh, of course, of course. You like that. I'm really, really pleased to see you.
So do I.
You look okay.
Okay. Bye. Thank you, teacher.
Bye. See you on Thursday. Bye.
Of course.
Bye.
Bye.